This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome in, everybody, to this week's edition of Doc and Jock. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me, as always, my cousin Adam, the Jock Strozinski. So much to get to. Can't wait to break down Cade versus Jalen, the Detroit Lions taking on the Buffalo Bills. So much news and notes going on in the world of Detroit sports. What's up, cuz?
Dude, football season's here. I'm excited, man. Look, I know it's preseason, and I know you're going to the game. My girlfriend surprised me. Apparently, I'm going to the game. Kind of pumped about that. I know it's preseason, and we can laugh and we can joke, but it's here. The football season is here. I feel like every single year, it's kind of like this dawning of time. This passage that we have to go through. You basically have to find something to get you through roughly 6 months of the year where there's zero football except for the draft and then the combine and free agency and all the little things that go through. You got training camp, but that doesn't do it for me. It doesn't stir my pot. You know I love the underwear Olympics. You know I love the draft. Those things stir my pot. Preseason football holds a special place in my heart, and it gets me going. I remember very vividly this one preseason game. It was the first preseason game of the year. I was living in Detroit at the time. My stepdad had moved in to my mom's house, and I remember me and my stepdad sitting down to watch this football game. And I believe it was the Detroit Lions versus the Buffalo Bills. And you know my stepdad. He's a huge football fan. And I don't know why it was so special to me, but it was a special moment I think him and I shared. And look, it's preseason football. We were basically done after the first quarter. We just kind of watched it to watch it. But it's one of those things where I love preseason football. I don't love it as much as obviously the regular season or playoff football, but it gets me pumped, man, because it's right around the corner. And this year we only have to suffer through 3 preseason games because of the shortened schedule and obviously the elongated regular season. But I'm excited, man. I don't know where you are. I think you can tell I'm pretty pumped about this.
Yeah, it's great. We're going to get a chance to see Jared Goff maybe for 10 to 12 plays. Dan Campbell said that the staff was going to finalize the decision on Wednesday evening. So we'll see how often we get to see DeAndre Swift. TJ Hawkinson probably not going to play. I don't think we're going to see Swift all that much. I think that you're going to see a lot of Jamal Williams. You're going to see a lot of David Blau, a lot of Tim Boyle. So while I think that it was released on Wednesday afternoon that Josh Allen and a lot of starters for the Bills are not going to take part, we heard in the NFC North that potentially speaking now, Aaron Rodgers probably not going to see any of the preseason, not a single snap. For the Lions, though, Dan Campbell kind of said that, we're new, we're trying to put stuff together. He may have the starters maybe 10 to 15 snaps, maybe a series or two. Do you, and where do you stand now after last year? I thought it was great. There was no preseason at all. It's great. I think I'm excited to see football. I'm excited to be back in the press box, be excited to cover the game from that perspective. It's been darn near 2 years since I've written a preseason story to see how this goes. Plus, it'll be interesting just to see how the media is treated now with the players. Is it going to be Zoom? Do we go in the locker room? Am I going to have to watch out for plexiglass? Because I'll definitely bump into it and cut myself. So I got to make sure I'm not clumsy right away. So I want to see how this all goes. But for me, I'm more of the opinion, Jared Goff, just sit your ass down. You don't need to do anything. I don't want to, because if he goes down, the season's done. Now, I know the ramifications of that won't impact a lot of people, but I at least want to see what Jared Goff looks like out there to give us a real and fair evaluation. I'm of the opinion, let the preseason be what it is. Let the likes of a Khalif Raymond, let the likes of Quintez Cephas, let the third and fourth stringers, let's see what Logan Stenberg has when he's out there against ones and twos. Let's see what backups can do. That's what I think preseason is let the guys who are fighting for roster spots 40 to 53, let them battle it out and let's see what they got. With what we saw this week, Hawkinson goes out, Hand goes out, DeAndre Swift's on load management already, dealing with the groin. Football is brutal, and for some reason, the Lions are always hit with some rash of shitty injuries all the time. So for me, I am of the opinion I don't want to see no starters, nobody of impact be out there at all, because this team can't afford anybody. I mean, we're all gripping with Deshaun Hand potentially being out, even though Dan Campbell said it was minor.
No, I'm in the opposite boat, man. There's so much newness to this roster, whether it be the head coaches, whether it be the assistant coaches, whether it be the offensive line pieces getting shuffled around and getting fit into new positions, whether it be the defensive scheme. The whole defensive scheme is brand new. I feel like all those guys need to start a couple of snaps. Your quarterback is brand new. Your wide receiving core is brand new. All these guys got to develop some timing, some rhythm. They got to get used to playing with each other. And look, you've been out there just about every day covering this team at OTAs, doing the preseason grind. You've come back and you've basically said, look, Jared Goff at times looks really good, at other times not so great. I think this is where he's got to put his money up, right? He's got to show what he's made of. These are going to be some live action rounds that he's going to be taking, and we've got to see how he handles that. And look, it might not be against top-notch starters. This might be against some second-string guys for the Bills, because the Bills already know what they have. This is a team that was pretty close to going to the Super Bowl last year, so they're aware of what they've got. They can afford to rest a couple guys. Jared Goff's in a brand new system. He's here behind it's a brand new line to him, but this is a bit of a retooled offensive line with Penei Sewell and Haloti Vaitai basically taking up that entire right side. You also have a wide receiving core that, for the most part, sub Quintez Cephas wasn't here last year. These are all brand new guys. Not to mention the offensive philosophy and the offensive game plan is brand new. And then you flip the ball and you look at the defensive side of it all. I mean, you're going from basically a 4-3, which really was 5 guys up at the line most of the time, to a 3-4. You've got guys who are regularly 4-3 playing players having to adjust and change their position a little bit. And you've got guys who normally have hands in the dirt now having to stand up. Look, I know it doesn't sound like it's a big deal. And I know it sounds like it shouldn't be that difficult, but it is. It's hard for some of these guys to adjust to that role in looking at something brand new, because they haven't had to do it before. Those guys got to get reps. All those guys got to get reps. I think all of us are going to be hyper focused on a guy like Jeff Okudah, who, 3rd overall player last year, comes in, looks like absolute trash. Could be the core muscle surgery that he had to have. It could be the lack of confidence in the coaching staff. It could just be being put in a spot where he wasn't going to succeed no matter what. I think now with the new coaching staff, comes in, sounds like he's making all the right moves, doing all the right things. And we've talked about it before, where cornerbacks usually takes a year. This is now year 2 for him. Does he take that monumental step forward, and does he become that guy who's supposed to be that lockdown corner? I think these are all things that you get to watch and see, and you get to watch these position battles, and you get to watch all these guys. And I think this entire team, I don't think there is any sacred cow on this roster. I don't think there's anybody on this roster who's overly important where they don't get to take snaps. They don't get to play a little bit. I think everybody has to play at least this first game. And it's just kind of how I feel. It's how I feel about this entire team. I don't think anybody, you tell me, is there one guy? I think Jared Goff might be the closest, but even he is not the most sacred of cows where he doesn't have to get some type of work in. I don't think there's anybody on this roster that deserves to be shelved for this first preseason game. You can try to convince me otherwise, but I don't think you will.
See, here's the thing, too. The preseason is so vanilla. It's not like they're going to be running the full gamut of what they do.
No, they're absolutely not.
It's going to be handoff to Williams, check down to Williams, check down to Dedrick Mills. It's going to be a bunch of nothing. But I understand to get the rhythm and timing down. But, man, the risks of injuries are so great. I just think that at this point in time, why is Josh Allen not playing? Because of the fact that the risk of injury to a franchise guy for a team, even for the Lions,
like Josh Allen has familiarity with the system. Josh Allen has familiarity with his wide receivers. Josh Allen has been there, done that. Yeah, Jared Goff is a veteran in the league. But Jared Goff hasn't played with a guy like Brashad Perriman. Jared Goff hasn't played with a Quintez Cephas. Jared Goff hasn't played behind this offensive line, and he hasn't played with a guy like DeAndre Swift. Also, brand new scheme. These are all things you got to get adjusted to. These are all things that you need live action. I think it would be different if they scrimmaged, if they had one. You know how teams have those intense scrimmages? I think it'd be different then because you were getting some live action. You had guys going after each other. You had guys, in your face. They didn't have any of that. That's not what they did this offseason. So I think these games, while they're not extremely important for the overall season, I think they are extremely important to specific players and to specific positions. And I think Jared Goff is a guy that I think we need to see a little bit out of. Look, you and I both agree. He is a position. He plays a position that you got worse at as an organization. I think overall, as a team and as an organization, you got better because you got worse at that position because of what you were able to do with draft capital. But I think he's got to come out. He's got to prove a little bit, and it's not just to this coaching staff. I think this coaching staff is okay with whatever he gives you. But I think to the fans, he's got to prove a little bit. You got to see something from him, And look, we both agree. This offense that they're going to run the next couple games before the regular season, it is essentially what equates to really bad gas station coffee. It's not like you're going to get, Starbucks triple pike venti that Dan Quinn's sucking down. You're not going to get that. No. You're basically getting some sludge from the Sitco or the Sunoco that's been sitting there for the last 7 hours, and it's thick, and that's what it is. It's not going to be good, but you need to see him perform in those moments. There's a lot of questions. Does he have those small hands? Can he not get the ball down the field? Does he make bad throws because he's limited in what he can read and what he can perceive a defense doing? Look, this is going to sound really geeky. All right. But this is why me and you do this podcast, because we're both nerds. I was watching a YouTube video and I watched how it broke down what Matt Stafford did, and it broke down what Jared Goff did at certain times, reading certain defenses and the way that they were able to perform under pressure. And to tell you that Jared Goff, for the most part, the takeaway from this, what he needs is a very simplified offense, because he's not able to process and do what a guy like Matt Stafford is able to do. And there are different highlights in this video I watched, and I thought it was interesting. Jared Goff's going to have to come in, and he's not going to have to perform like Matt Stafford, but this offensive philosophy is going to have to fit him. He's going to have to perform in the limited amount of snaps that he gets, and he's going to have to show you something here in preseason game 1, and you're hoping to carry that over into the regular season. And look, some people have talked about he's on a bit of a revenge tour because his head coach threw him under the bus, and that might be the case. And I want to see that. And if we get a bit of that foundation here in preseason game 1, I'm cool with that. And he gets to build on that in NFL game 1 for the Detroit Lions against San Francisco. I'm even cooler with that. But I got to be able to see some things. I'm hyper focused in this game. He might only throw the ball 12 times, like you said. He might only take 12 snaps. Who the hell knows? But I'm watching him because I want to see what he's bringing to this team. I want to see the leadership he's bringing. I want to see how he plays. I want to see how he performs. And we can take a little bit out of it. Great. If we can't take anything out of it, great. But I do want to see something from him, and that's kind of where I'm at with it.
See, I'm also looking to the coaching staff. How do
Oh yeah, for sure.
I want to see.
I think that's the moneymaker right there.
Yeah, because I just have this bad feeling like you're gonna see, and you got good seats. Are you in the lower bowl, upper bowl? You know where you're sitting?
So the girlfriend presented me with 3 different options. This was supposed to be a surprise, but
options are never a good thing. Okay, what are the options?
It was here. Let me pull up the text message real fast. Okay.
So
it was.
We can pay our mortgage
I'm thinking we did.
We can pay our mortgage this. We can pay our mortgage this month and sit in the upper bowl, or we can foreshadow it.
It's nothing like that.
Okay.
So it was. We could get row 6, lower section 104, or we could do lower level section 130, row 5, or we can get seats as low as $16. I don't think that's what she went, because she ended up coming back and she was like, so we could get row 5 club seats for like $40. So what do you want to do here? And I basically told her, I was like, surprise me, because I know how she is. She goes big or she goes home. So I'm assuming we either got club, which is usually, have you sat in the club section?
Yeah, I've sat everywhere at Ford Field.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice.
Pretty nice.
Yeah,
so
hell yeah.
We got club section, or we've got lower level section 130, or we got section 104, row 6.
Okay.
That's where I'm assuming. So we got some good seats, I'm assuming.
I'm just hoping it's not a false start fest, that it's not going to be a holding fest. I just got a feeling like the referees are going to be like in midseason form for the Lions, and every single play, Jamal Williams will break one for 25 yards, holding. You know, it just has a vibe of undiscipline going on here early on, because Dan Campbell uncharacteristically had a walkthrough on a Wednesday. You know, that's crazy in my opinion. You have a couple walkthroughs this early in training camp. Now, it's not country club-esque, but the team can't practice 3 days in a row where they're going at it hard without them falling apart. It's like, man, Dan Campbell, everyone's going to love playing for him. It's like we got to go hard for a couple days, and then we get a glorified walkthrough. So I just don't want to see undisciplined play. I don't want to see Dan Campbell looking like somebody who looks overwhelmed. He shouldn't be. He talks the game. He understands working with Sean Payton and Bill Parcells. He understands. He's been around great coaches. It just has a vibe of like, you know, someone that's just going to go out there and have everything just look real bad. So I don't know. But I do want.
Do you think that? Let me challenge you on this. Do you think that is maybe more a coach who's probably a little bit more in tune to what his players need at this moment in time?
I don't care what they need. They need to get out on the football field and run plays that look right. Because here's the dichotomy. So I sit and of course it's edited. Hard Knocks, you had Dak Prescott throwing tight spirals and every CeeDee Lamb is wide open running and everything looks good. Meanwhile, Jared Goff, the ball goes wobbly every 4 plays and you're looking like, this looks like a complete shit show. Like, I know it's not real.
Yeah, but you want this guy to not take any live action then?
Okay, come on. Because
it's you can't have it both ways.
It's a walkthrough, right? Jared Goff rolls to his right at 3/4 speeds and throws an interception. Like, he lobbed it to, I think, Jeff Okudah right to his hands, and he looked like shit. And it was like, I've never seen an interception in a walkthrough where you're going half speed and nobody's moving. So it's weird looking. It's not crisp. It's like, it looks like football, but it looks like a very different version. Like, we're waiting to see competitiveness at a little bit of a higher level than what I think we're getting. And then just to veer off too, the experience for the poor fans compared to what Dallas had at Hard Knocks, it's night and day, dude. They got like, the Lions got Plinko and golf and weird ass shit, and like there's like maybe 500 fans. There is no juice at training camp, and these poor people got to get there at 7:30, and I'm wide awake, and I'm loving the intro from the cheerleaders, but these poor fans got to get there to watch a walkthrough. I felt so bad. 2 of the practices have been walked through. One's been rained out. The training camp experience, damn, they should pay the fans to show up. It's not any. I mean, after the first one at Ford Field and a couple of them at Allen Park, the experience it feels like you're going to, like, you know, when you're going to the carnival at a shopping mall and you look at it and you're like, would I ever get on a ride at a carnival in a shopping center? No, but you see them all over the place. But that's kind of what it feels like. It doesn't feel like they've invested really a whole shit ton of money into the experience. So I just feel bad in regards to that. But the football it has a weird vibe. Like, it's good for football, but I'm looking at it like, is this what championship level training camp looks like? No.
Look at you hammering John McAroon, just laying down the gauntlet.
Bro, it's Plinko and Goff. I walked down
before any preseason action.
They got literally the shit that the activities are in the walkway. It's like it's so subpar. I would even just send you there just for you to laugh at it. It's so bad that you're like, literally, you want me to hit a golf ball and play Plinko for like a water bottle? It's like, come on, I know COVID maybe has restricted everything, but just not have it at all, because it's brutal. And then you have walkthroughs. It's like this. I would never go at 7:30. And the fans, I think, realize it too. There's no juice. I mean, after the first day was good with season ticket holders, but after that, it's just been a steady decline of meh. And it's tough. But I'm hardcore. I'm out there. I'm looking. I'm focused. But the crowd, I feel bad for them. But in the realm of preseason, it's just I'm looking at it from just a higher level. Yeah, it's a building team. Yeah, there's a lot of players. Yeah, it's not the ones. The ones are playing well, but bro, the backup offensive line isn't that good. There's a lot of areas that make you nervous. So when you have that critical eye, you say, okay, there's some things you can be proud of, but the preseason, I hope it's a fun experience. I hope it's just not a big mess. But really, bottom line, if you're watching a preseason game, I give you credit. You're going to it. It'll be a fun experience to see some newness and to see Dan Campbell, but it's preseason game 1. So I think, we'll get initial vibes, but I can't wait to see how it shakes and what it looks like in the whole experience. I'm just looking for Dan Campbell to get the team in and out of what they need to do. Not a lot of penalties, not a lot of mess, and at least maybe have 1 or 2 stars that maybe we didn't talk about show up. Maybe the likes of Fatu Melifonwu making a play. Maybe somebody, like Derek Barnes getting a big hit. Something where you can say, okay, let's look going forward, because right now it's just been really, really bland and at a basic level. But there's still a lot of good position matchups, still a lot of good things to see. It's just disappointing, like I said, DeAndre Swift on a pitch count and Jared Goff, needing a little bit more to show. So maybe he does. We shall see. But it was tough to see Hawkinson, Hand especially, one day after he's like, I want to be bona fide, I want to be healthy. The coaches challenged him to be healthy. And the football gods were like, dude, you play for the Lions, hurt the next day. Not even 24 hours later, he's hurt. And luckily it's minor, but man, that was crazy. Just craziness for a guy like that who has potential for the Lions defensive line. Now, before we talk about Cade Cunningham versus Jalen Green and the hijinks and hilarity that we saw after Cade Cunningham's first summer league action and then his matchup against Jalen Green in a loss, I think, to Houston, I want to say this. If anybody took the hour, and I feel like I wasted my time, my valuable time, within the first 15 minutes you realize, since when in an untold story does anybody in Detroit give a fuck about the Indiana Pacers? Like, do I really care? Oh my God. It's like, I seen all the previews. It was a disaster.
I want to put this out there. I haven't had the chance to watch it yet, so don't ruin it for me.
It's garbage.
I'm anticipating it being bad, but don't ruin it for me.
It's garbage. Right? It's horrible.
So just tread lightly, okay?
Okay, I'll say this. Don't watch it. It's absolutely horrible. It's start to finish. Like, I mean, I was intrigued, obviously being a psychologist, but it was like, really? Is this the angle that you guys took? And bottom line, it was a big hype. Seeing the trailer made it seem more interesting than it was. Big fat F, waste of time, because you could even start at the 20-minute mark and you won't miss nothing. It's garbage. It's a bunch of bunk. I can't wait to get your review on it. My opinion from the doc, I tweeted along at Detroit Podcast. I thought it was absolute bogus bullshit. I mean, you had I don't even think you had one player talk, and that was Ben Wallace. That was it from the Pistons. It's what a bunch of shit. I mean, you could at least do another one from the other side. Untold story. Okay, I really care about Jermaine O'Neal and Reggie Miller. There was one funny scene, though, you will laugh, that Steven Jackson just has a classic line I thought was hilarious. Wait till you see the Detroit cops. When they talk about the cops, you're going to laugh because Steven Jackson just has a great scene that should just be clipped out there. But, yeah, it's a big F on my side. So, Cuz, are you... I've never seen Detroit grip so hard over Summer League action. I mean, they were like, oh, my God. But I will say this, okay? I have watched it because of Cade Cunningham. He does have that drawing power. I have watched both Summer League games. And, yeah, it's a glorified pickup game. It's a bunch of mess. But I'll say this, and here's where I like the world of sports and the debate. Jalen Green is that nice, sexy, shiny toy that just instantly gratifies you. And Cade Cunningham is like the $500 gift card, but you got to wait a couple months to cash it in. You're like, shit, that's good. That's a good number. I can buy shit, but I got to wait. Jalen is the sexy guy that's like, bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. He's ready to go, doing his thing, hitting threes, but not refined fully in his game. I think Detroit really, the hardcore fans will love Cade Cunningham because he's complete. He plays defense. He's buttoned up. He's like, I don't want to be the number one guy. I just want to be in the mix and get to know my teammates. Whereas Jalen Green's like, I want that max contract, baby. Where's my agent? Call my agent. Where's my deal? Give me the ball. I need it. And he's going to be out there, and he's going to be full 2021 NBA guy. And he's going to be like, dang, I didn't get my rock. Give me the ball. And Cade's going to be more professional, a little bit more laid back.
I think this is the prime example.
But I think Detroit wants
steak versus sizzle here.
But Jalen brings something. I think people want Cade's game with Jalen's personality. We need a little bit of that swagger, and I like it. Everybody likes swagger. We got Jared Goff, who's ultra. And why do people love Jamal Williams? Because he's out there. He's got swagger. Why do people love Dan Campbell? Cade Cunningham kind of is looking like Matthew Stafford and
he's
Jared
more
Goff.
buttoned up, man.
Corporate. We don't want corporate Cade.
I don't even think it's so much corporate, right? I think you have, like you said, immediate gratification is what you get from Jalen Green, right? He's a guy who he's flashy. He's gonna go slam. He's gonna slam dunk the ball, and he's gonna pound his chest. And he's a guy who will go out there and he'll give you 20 points, and there'll be a crisp 20 points. Whereas you've got a guy like Cade Cunningham, and it's a struggle for him to get 17. And I think there's more to it, though. I think he's a guy who tends to make everybody else better on this roster. And look, I don't know about you. The thing that I've taken away, and I've watched in the past 2 weeks, I've watched more summer league action than I think I've ever watched prior to. So, like, what does that tell you? I mean, like, we're both tuning in to watch Cade Cunningham, right? We're both tuning in to watch the number one pick. What I'll tell you is, it looks highly disjointed. It looks really unorganized.
Brick City.
And it looks like it's almost like organized pickup basketball. And I think the thing that I've taken away from it is I think Cade Cunningham's going to be okay. I know the fans probably want to see the numbers that Jalen Green's putting up, and I think that the guys, everybody wants to watch what these two guys are doing when they're playing each other. But I think the bigger thing that I'm taking out of this is I'm not sure where a guy like Killian Hayes is going to fit in.
Trade bait, baby.
I don't know if Sekou Demboyu has a role on this team. I'm nervous about a guy that they just re-signed in Saban Lee. Like, these are all guys where when I watch them play, I'm like, man, they don't fit. They don't look like they fit. It looks real forced to try to get them in the in the game. Now, a guy that I'm extremely ecstatic about, however, is what I'm seeing from a guy like Luka Garza, which I don't know if he has an NBA role, but I think they're going to find some for him, because when I watch him play, I'm like, all right, I like what I'm seeing from the big man who has really no position in this NBA, but I like what I'm seeing from him. I think Cade Cunningham is going to be okay. I think he's going to make everybody else better. I think it's a bit of a struggle bus right now, though. None of this looks really fluid. None of this looks really good.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. But what did you make of those that gripped early and say, "Whoa, Jalen had a nice debut and Cade didn't look that good the first game"? I think he had 10 points and then 20 the second game or so, and then Jalen went off for 25. But Cade did shake him out of his shoes for that three, which made a lot of people happy. I look at it like this. I think that Cade will fit into the Pistons. I think he's going to lead them to the playoffs, but I think Jalen's going to make a lot more noise, and I think he's going to be the focal point. He's going to be the modern version of the 2021 superstar. Cade's going to fit in, but I don't see him being the 30-point Cade seems like a really great free agent that you sign, but he's going to fit into I've already personally seen the going to work Pistons and the building of a team, and that was fun, but they only got one championship. Do you want to kind of see the Lakers kind of thing where they're back in it a little bit, win a couple, or do you see somebody like a Steph Curry where the Golden State won a couple titles and lost one? Do you see that with Cade Cunningham? See, I see the culmination and it being built to a crescendo where maybe you get one. Whereas maybe the Jalen Green, if he's hungry enough and gets one other talented individual with him, maybe could lead Houston on a run. So that kind of has that vibe. But I don't know. I'm just looking at it from the perspective of I'm down for some personality because I'm all up in it now with Dan Campbell, who every day says something crazy. So I'm like now addicted to it. So I got to scale back and be like, okay, Cade looks good. I'm very happy with him. I can't label him a bust in any way. I was excited when he hit the three. Basically, I've adopted Cade. Corporate Cade is fine. I just need him to step out a little bit and don't be so corporate because you're already the number one pick. You already got a boatload of cash.
Corporate Cade.
Corporate Cade, baby. He's going to be like, who wants to hear, I want to play team basketball. I don't need the ball. I mean, first game, and Cade Cunningham barely has the rock. And you're like, I just want to be acclimated. I need to defer, and I want to be part of a team that wins. And it's like, come on, dude. Just say, look, I just want him to say, give me the ball. In Cade we trust. Ball's going in. Money all day. Give me the ball. Be a little bit selfish. Ooh, is anyone going to get mad at you if you say, give me the ball? Is anyone going to get mad at you if you say, dude, I can't wait to bring in the best NBA talent. I can't wait to give Dwayne Casey the title he deserves. Some swagger. If your swagger is showing up in buffs, I mean, that's fine, but I need a little bit more for my entertainment value because obviously I'm ADD now. I need it every day. Dan Campbell brings it every day. One day he's telling us about Chicken Shack. The next day he's telling us about drinking 100 ounces of coffee. The next day he's about to maybe tackle another one of his players. It's going to be great. I need it every day, baby. It's 24-hour ADD cycle, baby. I turn on the microphone every day. I need something to talk about, and that's the mindset now I've gotten into. Cade's more like, team did good. We followed the game plan and just didn't work out today. Got to hit the gym. Got to hit a couple more shots, and we'll get back at it tomorrow. Well, it's just one loss, and it's like, okay, man, I need a little bit more, baby. I need a little bit more swag, a little more personality. Maybe he'll open up as he gets acclimated. But you got to basically act the part. You're number one pick, 2021 draft. Act like it. Act like you're the number one guy in the NBA. Right now, Jalen's acting like he's the number one guy.
Look, I think on this Detroit Pistons Summer League roster, I think you might be able to have 5, maybe 6 guys that are going to contribute to what this 2021, 2022 roster is going to actually look like when the season gets underway. And look, I think Killian Hayes is a guy who's going to make it because of where he was drafted last year and he had an injury and they're not 100% sure what they have with him. But after him, man, it's going to be really tough to really try to sell me on anybody that's out there really doing anything monumental. I get what you're saying. You want to see guys go out there and you want to see them perform and you want to see them contribute and you want to see a guy like Cade take over. But I don't think this roster that is being facilitated and this team that's being put together during this summer league, I don't think there's a lot of great talent. I don't think there's a lot of good talent. I think there are guys, and if you want, I will name them. I look, Saddiq Bey, I think, is a guy who's safe, right? We know what he's bringing. Cade Cunningham, obviously, safe. I think a guy like Luka Garza, he's been like really the only one who has impressed me besides knowing that I'm going to get something in the long term from Cade Cunningham. After that, it really becomes tight. Like I think Isaiah Stewart is a guy who's safe. I think Isaiah Livers is a guy who's going to be safe because they're obviously limiting what he can do because of the injury that he's coming in with. But after that, I mean, you tell me anybody else who's really safe or really helps kind of raise the eyebrow here. There's nobody. There's nobody. And what does that say about a guy like, in this case, what does that say about a guy like Killian Hayes? You know what I'm saying? This is a guy who should be out there performing a little bit more. And I don't know if he has a spot on this roster. And I thought he did going into this summer league.
Oh, man, it's funny. I did send off a text to the to the local radio station. And I said, God darn it, if this is a must-win game for the Pistons Summer League. If they don't win the second game, they need to fire Du Bois. That's how much intrigue, baby. We got to talk about firing the Summer League coach if they don't get it right. Oh, man. Lineups, it's interesting. Look, it's a summer league. I know everybody's overreacting, but hey, it's something to react to. Cade Cunningham, worthy of the attention. I think he's going to deliver. If that's the starting point, I'm happy with it. We're talking about personality. We're not talking about performance. You saw when the lights were on him, he dropped 20 points, was able to. Now, his shooting percentage is not good, and he could do a lot better in terms of recognition and defense and improve in several areas, but he looks the part. He looks like an NBA player. Dude is huge. And the problem is when you stack him next to a guy like Killian Hayes, guys, remember this, and you have to pay attention. When he's out there with Isaiah Stewart, Sadiq Bey, and other talented members of the ones, his assist numbers are going to go way up. He's going to average 12 assists minimum. When he's out there with Luka Garza and Killian Hayes and Sekou Doumbouya, who's awkward at best, it's not going to look as good. So I think this is great experience, but keep it in check. It's the summer league. Let's not go crazy and start talking about assessments of the number 1 versus number 2 pick. In a couple years, you can look at it and say, well, maybe Jalen Green would have been the guy. And I believe truly, and I said this in previous editions of the podcast, I don't think Jalen Green would be this way if he was number 1. I think you activate his passion when you make him number 2. Mm-hmm. This is the story. You activate.
I think that chip on his shoulder is what drives him.
It's perfect for him. It's absolutely perfect. Like, that's the biggest thing for his pocketbook is going to be like, Cade number 1, let me show him. And that's what it's going to be. But he's the focal point. He's the ISO guy. Cade's going to be integrated in the team situation. So let's see how the fans react to Dwayne Casey's use of Cade Cunningham early on. Look at us talking Pistons. It's exciting.
Look at us watching summer league basketball.
Absolutely, absolutely. When you're the number 1 pick and you bring a little bit of buzz to you, you get everybody watching you, and it's fun. People are engaged with it. I mean, I just asked a simple question. I didn't know how much response I was going to get. I just asked, dude, Sekou and Killian look like they need work. People were all up in there debating it at Detroit Podcast. They're all up in it. So Pistons now are on the map, and this is what happens. This is the buzz you earn when you have the number 1 pick. And now Cade has to kind of deliver to be a little bit more of that marketer, let people in, let people see some more of your personality. So we'll see if that will come to fruition. Great podcast. Our time is up. Oh, man, our time flies when we record this, and I'm so thankful we have the opportunity to broadcast each and every Thursday. Make sure you follow Detroit Sports Podcast at Detroit Podcast. Make sure you follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRStroz. And make sure you get in, subscribe, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Anywhere at all you find your podcast, type in Detroit Sports Podcast, whether it be iTunes, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Type in Detroit Sports Podcast, and you listen to our daily content. And I love when I'm out and about and people are like, aren't you the podcast guy? And I'm like, yep. And they see that they see me out there and about, and I just turn on new people too to say, hey, I cover the Lions. I do a podcast with my cousin. It's really fun, really interactive, and people have noticed as well how interactive we are. Detroit Sports, most interactive bunch. Doc and Jock with the Detroit Sports Podcast. Can't wait till next week, baby. Enjoy the game. Look, don't drink too much. Don't streak. I know you want to. I know you want to let your wang fly free all over Ford Field. It's too early. Wait for week 6, and I'll pay for your bail.
I'm showing up with no clothes and baby oil. Got to catch me, and I'll be slippery if you do catch me.
Oh, baby. Talk soon, cuz.